In this video, I'm going to be discussing improving your base camp. Remember that a base camp is only occupied for a maximum of 30 days compared to a patrol base, which is occupied for a maximum of 24 to 48 hours, operational dependent. Now we're set up in the same basic area that we were in the last set of videos on occupying a base camp. If you watched those videos, you already are aware that we've set up the perimeter. Hasty positions have been dug. Claymores and trip flares have been put out. LPOPs are in position. The headquarters platoon has already sighted where the supply caches are going to be around the perimeter. And the reason for why there needs to be more than one is in case you do come under indirect fire, mortars or artillery or even an airstrike. If you have all of your supplies in one location, that makes it a bigger target, easier to hit if you have it spread out. Well, if you lose one or two caches, hopefully you still have a couple left. Now, we still have water in this creek or river which is nearby. That is our water source. Now, when you go to get water, only get it at night. And I recommend it that you go with either water jugs or possibly water barrels and fill those up and take them back and then purify it and distribute it inside the perimeter. The reason I recommend doing it that way is if the enemy is observing that creek and they're trying to get an idea of your numbers, the easiest way they can find that out is by counting your canteens. So if you take water jugs or you take barrels, that makes it a lot harder for them to estimate exactly how many people are inside the perimeter. Besides, you should always have excess water. You should have extra inside your perimeter for in case you do get surrounded, you're in a siege situation and you cannot get to the water. Now, one of the things you need to do is set up secure communications. One of the best secure communications is field telephones. So each squad will have a phone. They run their wire from the squad leader's position to the platoon leader's position. Your LPOP also should have a phone, and they should run a field wire from their position back to the platoon leader's position. At the platoon leader's position, it should be connected to a switchboard. That way everyone's phone will ring. So if the platoon leader needs to give out a flash message to everyone, everyone will get it at the same time instead of trying to call them individually. A second field telephone should be at the platoon leader's position connected to the company headquarters so that he can pass information from the LPOP to the headquarters can pass information down. Now, we still have our LPOP here, which is watching our entrance route. We have an LPOP over here, which is watching the river or creek. We have an LPOP over here, which is watching a draw that's coming down off the ridge line. Now, that draw is a possible speedy emergency exit. So when we put in our situational obstacles, we don't want to put them in the draw closing it off, because then that cuts off a possible line of escape for us. So how we took care of that, we have our LPOP overwatching the draw. We'll have a few claymores strung out inside the draw with the firing devices here at the LPOP. Now at the base of the draw, we'll put in tanglefoot. Tanglefoot is barbed wire that is strung between pickets, stakes, or trees, and it is strung between ankle to knee high. It is run at it's run at a not set pattern. You're trying to make it very random. So anyone who's trying to run through there, you know, they may be lifting up their knees to avoid the low wires, but then they hit a higher wire and they're still going to get dumped on the ground. You should have a machine gun position down here, or at least a squad automatic weapon position set up overwatching the tanglefoot to make sure that no one tries coming through there, and if anyone does, they can hose them down. Now, your fighting positions, to include your LPOPs, if you do fighting positions at those locations, they should first be improved to the deliberate stage, which means you're going to chest to armpit depth. You'll have your grenade sumps. You'll revet your sides so that they don't collapse in. And then you go to the bunker stage, which means you put on overhead cover. Always remember to camouflage as you go along to cover up the existence of the positions. Now, your supply caches, as I said, will be located around the perimeter. You should have at least one supply cache in each platoon sector, so that the platoon has somewhere to draw additional ammunition should there be some type of an attack, or if they need additional ammo to go out on a mission. Once the supply caches are set up, the logistics cell should show the platoon leader and the squad leaders where the cache is at, tell them what's in there. The squad leaders should later show the team leaders and assistant team leaders the location of the supply cache and give them the same information, so that if an attack occurs, the squad leader can call out to the Bravo team leaders and tell them, hey, we need more loose 5.56 and we need more 7.62 belted ammunition quick. He then goes back, he grabs what he can, he brings it up and distributes it in the squad. You should continue to improve your position until, say, about a week or so before you're going to leave. Because at that point, there really isn't much of a reason to continue improving, because it's kind of wasted effort. Now, when you're going to pull out and move on to the next location, you will pull in your supply caches, get them packed back up. You'll fill in your fighting positions, take down your sleep areas. You'll pull in your telephone lines. You'll pull in your situational obstacles like the tanglefoot. Then you will go through and pull in your claymores and your trip flares. The last thing that should be taken off of the perimeter is your LPOPs. They should only be pulled in once everyone is ready to move out. But if they have some type of dug-in position, they should work on filling it in while the rest of the perimeter is being broken down also. Now, if you determine that at least one of the supply caches needs to be there for long term, for possible operational use later, make sure it is dug in. You've put overhead cover over it so it's in a possible bunker stage, and camouflage it as good as possible. Make sure you have cataloged how much is in there of what, its exact location by grid reference, and also mark it out on the map. Now when you move out, you'll move out as a unit. Basically, along the same lines as how you occupied it. You can go into the wagon wheel, or you can do it as the spokes of the wagon wheel coming back to the center and then leaving as a unit. You can send out your quartering party ahead of the main body, or you could have the quartering party stay with the main body and then do like was shown in the occupying a base camp video. I do recommend that you change up how you do things every so often in order to keep the enemy guessing. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movement, always remember, essayons.